Hi everyone, Oy'Nissh or welcome. I am yours truly Oy'Nissh Grandies, and in this video I'll be introducing a little about myself. Probably many of you have stumbled upon my YouTube channel and you see the name Jamaican Oy'Nissh language. So today, in a relaxed environment, I guess, just to introduce to you a bit about who I am and a little about the language. Later on I'll go into more detail about the teaching, and so I've uploaded some vlogs already where I was introducing some of the characters, some meanings and so forth. I think one word probably you'll see out there is Vincentium, which means Jamaican independence. But that's just one word out of many that have original Oy'Nissh meaning, but also of its origin in the language. Obviously some will be translated from English, but I guess today is just to get to know you. But also I've just started this channel and I'm not so familiar with the idea of people subscribing and so forth. I don't like to beg people to subscribe. It would be nice for you to subscribe because I think there are benefits for people subscribing, but my real focus is to introduce to people out there, regardless of what race you're from, be it black or white or Asian, or if you're male or female. This is just a nice space, I believe, to get to know about me, but also post-COVID era, or what I call post-COVIDism. A new language, Jamaican language, has emerged out of the lockdown, and I think that's what makes it interesting. And to put the icing on the cake, it evolved out of the idea of food. So maybe to put things into context, I'm going to quickly share with you my name, but I'm going to show you what it looks like in character. So I've got a wee board and I'm going to show you so you can see what my name looks like in character form. So I've got my wee board here. Hopefully you can see clearly. I am currently in my home kitchen and you see this word pie vaccine. In the past I used S instead of C, but I use C now instead of S. Pie vaccine. So pie vaccine is a professional setting, be it indoor or outdoor, where Oy'Nissh food is being prepared or Oy'Nissh language is being taught, etc. by someone who know about the food and the language. So the word pie vaccine is associated with education and food preparation in a professional setting. It could be indoors or outdoors. At the moment, I'm using my kitchen. Now, if it was just a normal kitchen, it would be called pie vaccine. There's another word for that. But please remember that when I use this word pie vaccine, it means a place where Oy'Nissh food is being prepared, but also Oy'Nissh language is being taught, yes? So bear that in mind. Maybe you start to see with the construction of the language, it gives me a lot more freedom in ways in which I can use words, etc. Now, further down, or at least in the middle, I'm introducing my first name. No, my name is Oy'Nissh. But you see three representations of my name. Because naturally, on the YouTube channel, you start to see words associated with characters. So that's the first thing you'll start to know about this new constructed language. I call it Jamaican Oy'Nissh language, or just plain Oy'Nissh, which is the best way, I guess, because it's just short and to the point. So when used in this format, oh, one more thing. Oy'Nissh uses two methods to scribe. there is the character. This is a character, and it's called the elixir. So that's the first thing with this new constructed Jamaican language. It uses character as the official way of writing. Now, this is important because you'll see associated with the character words. The words is not the official representation of the language. It's just an interface to bridge the gap between the character world and the alphabet world. Because from being from Jamaica, where we use alphabet for writing and reading and so forth, I just believe it's easier to give the character representation in alphabet form so people can follow along quite easily. But the real part of the language is the character. Now, one standard practice in this constructed language that I'm developing, all the elixir, which is the plural for the elixir, comes in the Jamaican flag color of black, green, and yellow. Now, I've got a real challenge because I find it difficult to find yellow markers in Scotland, at least where I am in Edinburgh. It's challenging, you know. It's rubbish, but that's what I have to deal with. So, because I cannot write the characters in black, green, and gold in the standard or default setting, I use what's known as a millvrant black Oy'Nissh. So these are millvrant black Oy'Nissh representation. I don't have a yellow marker, so I couldn't put it in black, green, and yellow. So I just put it in black. So it's in a monocolor and it's called millvrant. Another word for it, which is the Oy'Nissh word, is qqihryn. Millvrant is a new Jamaican English word because there is no English word for what I'm explaining. So one is created and it's called millvrant. So anytime in the future when I start to work with characters and it's in a single color, it's given the new English name millvrant, or in Oy'Nissh it's called qqihryn. Qqihryn is spelled QQ, so you cannot really use that in English. So millvrant is created as a new Jamaican English word. So the characters are represented in millvrant black. So the first one, let's start with the first one. So my name is Oy'Nissh and this is my name. This represents a Jamaican male first name, and it translates as feeder of the people. As you can see, I'm attired. I'm an actual chef, but it doesn't translate as chef because feeder of the people could have a spiritual meaning too. For example, teaching the word of God. So it's not only physical, but also spiritual. So it have dual meaning. But seeing that I'm in a kitchen, so it makes sense looking at it from a practical point of view. Feeder of the people, that's what it means. Notice it's got a capital N in the middle. When referring to the name or the language, a capital N is used. In the future, when I'm referring to the food, you'll see I use the lowercase n. It's not a mistake, it's intentional. There is a distinction between the language or the name as opposed to the food. So the food use a lowercase n, and the language and the male first name uses uppercase, right? So in this format, you get this millvrant black male Jamaican first name, yes? Oy'Nissh. Now, the same character almost reshuffled. As you can see, some of the patterns in the design sort of shift around. That's how I identify when it's referring to my name as opposed to the food, as opposed to the language. And this is where now I'm introducing to you a new concept in Jamaican history that's not been used ever. I call it a black language. Oh, sorry, my white viewers. Please, it have nothing to do with racism or anything with Black Lives Matters. When I use the term black language, it's not sort of implying that I've been racially abused. No. Scottish people are amazing and I love Scotland. Never have problem with anyone. So please, all my white viewers, please don't draw any context of racism in it. So, right? Okay, so Oy'Nissh, the character, when it's reshuffled, you get the food. As you can see, this is now on the outside. This which was up here is in the middle. This stay as it is. So now I get to know when I'm referring to my name as opposed to Oy'Nissh the food. Then you come to Oy'Nissh the language. Oh, I've missed something. Yep. See, correction. Hold a second. Let me get a marker. It might be a bit awkward to write while holding the board, but I'll try. Normally I would have to put it down and write. Let me see if I can try. Never done it this way before, but right. There we go. So now, this which was on the outside, this which was in the inside is now on the outside. They just swap around and now you get the language. So 3 representation. First, it's like this. Then this bit goes in the middle. By the time you reach the language, it comes out at the end. So that's the flexibility of the language. Now, you cannot do that with alphabet. So it's important as you follow my vlog, which I would imagine some of you now stumbled up on this particular vlog, see a language developing in real time, and it's still in its early stage. Yes, it uses character, which is the official representation. The alphabet form is only an interface. This is important, especially for people who speak English, because you might be tempted to try and go back to alphabet as the default to try and sort of assess the language. You cannot do that. You'll start to see the alphabet written in a way that doesn't make sense in English language after a while. However, to stay on cue, start to get used to characterization. Well, I'm learning to, because remember, it's new to me. When I started this language, it was during lockdown in 2021, in the middle of the pandemic. I've started working with my food development, my food brand called Oy'Nissh some time ago. It wasn't even given a name that time, but I was working with jerk, but then I had to give up jerk and start my own brand. So I'm not doing jerk anymore. No, I know for many of you are Jamaicans. You'll be like, that's cheeky. You're abandoning your culture. No, I'm not abandoning my culture. I'm just inventing something new. I mean, if as Jamaicans we're not going to pioneer new way forward, we're not going to have anything new in our lives. So it's not that I'm abandoning jerk, it's just that I invent something new. The language emerged out of the food because I had to depart from jerk for a particular reason. In the future, I'll explain more about it. But with the emergence of the food and having to make up new words, the language came to be, and the COVID gave me a chance to create the characters for it. No, that's just a short introduction. There's more detail to that. But now, as you can see, my name is written in 3 different ways. When it is in this format, which is a millvrant black Oy'Nissh, all of them, it means Oy'Nissh, male Jamaican first name, which means feeder of the people. Now, the definition for Oy'Nissh when it comes to the food, it is a condiment that have a fruit or vegetable from a local region on health promotion, that when you put the condiment on any food, it brings that food into the season of the locality. Now, let's put it in the context for many of you folks from America who are watching this vlog, or from England, or whoever, who have traveled to Jamaica, or who have eaten jerk food wherever you are. The idea is that when you eat jerk food, they put the marinade on it and all that, yes? And work it and all that. But nowhere, not even in the UK, if you put HP sauce on a burger or on a hash brown, that it tells you what's on health promotion? You tell me now. Tell me where in the world that you've got sauces and marinades that said this is on health promotion and this sauce or this marinade is seasonal. No, that's not a concept, because ketchup is available all year round. HP sauce is available all year round. Now, for the viewers in the UK, you're familiar with Nando's, and in Scotland too, and in Edinburgh, Nando's, which is by Usher Hall, there's a Nando's just across from, is it Chambers Street? No, not Chambers Street. Near the Scottish Museum, there's a Nando's there and so forth. They've got nice Nando's sauce, but it doesn't tell you that anything is on health promotion because it's standard all year round. The difference with Oy'Nissh is that's where my job came in. When I started working, it was about creating a company that have fruit and vegetable on health promotion. And the fruit and vegetable must be from the country, like the UK or the region, the entire UK. I would put the Republic of Ireland in it too, because they share similar weather, yeah? They've got the fruit or vegetable that come into season at a particular time. The sauce or the marinade, which would be the Oy'Nissh sauce or marinade, would have a fruit or vegetable on health promotion that is collected from the area that the food is grown in the season, not imported, are grown out of season. So now, for example, what's in season? So now we've got blackberry in season, we've got blackberry, cherry, raspberry, etc. Those are fruits. Vegetables, you've got spinach, etc., celeriac. Now, in the case of Jamaica, jerk is just jerk generally, but not so with Oy'Nissh. And that's why I had to left jerk alone, because I've got a fruit or vegetable on health promotion. Jerk cannot do that, because the essence of jerk is the Scotch bonnet pepper, the thyme, pimento, and Scotch bonnet is key. Then you've got thyme and spring onion, etc. And then you've got additional stuff, soya sauce. With Oy'Nissh, it's harvested, and then you put the sauce or the marinade or the oil or any type of other condiments, etc., relish or whatever, on the product, and that product becomes seasonal. So you can have a seasonal Oy'Nissh chicken, like some of you will watch some of my future videos where you'll see I make seasonal chicken, which is unthinkable in Jamaican consciousness. You'll never have a strawberry jerk chicken. It doesn't happen, because I think strawberry is grown in Jamaica now, but the concept of having strawberry in season and making jerk from it, it's not normal. But even if they do, they don't tell you that it's on health promotion. So that's what Oy'Nissh food is. You put what need to be on health promotion, even in a bread to make bread loaf, or in a dough to make bread. For example, spinach during summer, it becomes a summer spinach Oy'Nissh bread, because you put the spinach marinade in the bread. It will be green naturally, but the idea is maybe to get fussy kids who love bread and won't eat spinach to probably eat the bread in its season. Once spinach is out of season, you don't depend on spinach imported from Spain or Italy or Morocco. No, once it's out of season, that's it for the year. And then you move on to what's in season again. Maybe in winter now, you start to have Brussels sprouts. So you have a Brussels sprout Oy'Nissh that goes to make a Brussels sprout vegan product. And that product is now brought into the season of winter, and thus it's Oy'Nishified. Well, I'm not going to get into the verbs of Oy'Nissh language just now. I'm just giving an example of the difference between the name, which is the person, which is me, and the food that I'm working on, the concept of the food called Oy'Nissh. You make the marinade or the sauce. Or it could be making a cake. There you go. And I do the same thing, and the cake become a seasonal cake. Now is the best time to make cherry cakes. I've done some in the past for some events. Cherry cake and raspberry cake. However, with the raspberry cake, it's seeded. So it's a seeded cake. So, people vary in what they like, But it means that people get to eat the actual raspberry. No, in terms of health promotion, I'm not saying you're not supposed to eat the fruit raw. Everything raw, not everything. All the things that can be eaten raw is best eaten raw to get maximum nutrients. And I support the Scottish government, any type of people encouraging that ethos. But the reality is, there are people out there who will never eat the food raw. Thus, an indirect health promotion to get them used to the taste of that fruit or veg in this season. That is Oy'Nissh, because now it's incorporated into the food. Now, what happens when you have a condiment that go on a food and bring it into the season of the locality? New words start to come into play to describe the texture, the level of chili, when it's in season, when it's out of season, or when it's in season and you freeze it and use it out of season, because you're saving the penny, which is okay too. Because when you freeze the food, it haven't gone anywhere. As far as we're concerned, the food is still in season. But when it's used out of season, it's not in season. But it's still in season because it haven't gone anywhere. There's an Oy'Nissh word for that, inouti. Now you start to see how the food becomes the base for the development of the language. And that's how the language emerges out of the food. Which means nowhere in the world can you work with Oy'Nissh food without the language, because the language now governs the food, but the food informs the language too. The two goes hand in hand. They cannot work separately, right? So now you've got the language emerging out of the food, but because it's a language now, other aspects start to come into play, which you'll probably start to see on the vlog. The emergence of art, because with the character comes the patterns. Now, please note, especially to not to Jamaicans, to everyone in the world, this is not a spoken Jamaican language. Obviously, it would be great in the future Jamaicans speak it, but it would have to be agreed with the government with a particular system in place, because all these are intellectual property. Once I design them into the language format, it becomes intellectual property because they are patterns. Yep. So it's not free for all for people to use. That's why you'll see in my videos, the intellectual property information is placed there, because it means that it's the language of my business. So Jamaican Oy'Nissh language, or Oy'Nissh language, is a business language. Obviously in the future I'll be teaching and working with people. But if you are interested, if you're in Jamaica, or if you're in America or wherever, if you're in the UK, which is next door, or in England, wherever, and you'd like your name to be written in Oy'Nissh language, so you can use it as a pattern, contact me. But you must know that designs written in Oy'Nissh belongs to the person who created. But again, you cannot create it yourself, because Oy'Nissh language is what it is. It's the owner's language. So you cannot, it's not there's no possibility for someone to go and do a second Oy'Nissh. You can create your own world, but there's just one Oy'Nissh language. It's obvious. But it's just to make sure people don't get confused. And maybe because I'm sort of conscious about this thing. I remember this story about qqihryn. I think Clive, I don't remember his name. Clive something from Kingston went to the Bronx, started doing something on the turntable, emerged with a new type of beat that laid the foundation for hip hop, and it's been pushed aside, and many Afro-Americans don't want to associate him with hip hop. But Jamaicans want to associate him with hip hop. There goes the confusion, because maybe at the beginning it wasn't clearly defined. So I'm now, at least when you're watching this vlog, my intentions are clear. It's a language, and hopefully in the future people will be speaking it, but it's a business transaction. Because it means that if some of you come for lessons and come for me to do design patterns for you, chances are you'll get license that you only can use, but I own the rights to it, so I can use it too. Obviously, with my discretion, it means that I won't give someone else that pattern to use, except you or myself. But Oy'Nissh pattern, the language belongs to the creator of the language. It's what it is. In the future, if Jamaica see fit to use this concept as an official language, that would be great. But it might not happen, I doubt it. Because Jamaica have Patois, which is the dialect, which I hope in the future will emerge to be an official language. But I don't know what the process is. The beauty about this language is I started from scratch. Every design that I make, it's time posted. So there's the date, the time, the definition, and everything. And also the corresponding alphabet form to it. So there's just few things I'm introducing to you at this stage. There's just so much more, but just to recap. Oh, one more thing. You remember I told you earlier on, these are characters. One of them is a Vielixa, which is the official writing form. Plural is Vielixai. The other writing format of this language is the alphabet format, the interface. It's called qqihryn. And there's a qqihryn chart for it. It's the go-between the alphabet world and the character world. So up here is qqihryn. Below here is Vielixa. If it's 1, it's Vielixa. 3, Vielixai. If it's just one word, that's qqihryn. All 3 is qqihryn, right? So my name is Oy'Nissh, which means feeder of the people. When used as a food, it's a condiment with a fruit or vegetable on health promotion. You put it on other food and it brings that food into the seasonality of that locality. Yes, so you have a seasonal chicken, a seasonal vegan product, a seasonal bread, because what's in it is in season, in that local environment on health promotion. Out of it emerged the language, which now governs the language, which I am creating and working with. Thus, the pattern is different. Notice the lowercase in Oy'Nissh and the uppercase in the language. So in the future, when you see on YouTube, and I use the lowercase, it's normally associated with food. The only difference you won't see any distinction is if everything is in uppercase. If all of this is in uppercase, you might not see the difference, right? So, pie vaccine, let's start from the top, just to summarize. You've got pie vaccine. Pie vaccine is a professional environment, indoor or outdoor, where Oy'Nissh food and language is being prepared and taught, right? Like I'm doing now. This is a pie vaccine. And it's done by someone who have experience in the language or the food, or at least in the future when I train them, they become a specialist in either the language or the food or both. I believe that in the future, when I work with people, they'll either become a language specialist or a food specialist, not both. Because it makes them more, give them more expertise in different fields. But that's my hope. To work with some of you out there, please, if you're interested, remember, this is pretty much ground zero of the entire concept. And you're dealing with the person who is creating it. So you can't go anywhere else in the world, even where other YouTubers will be pioneering this idea. Because it's who I am Oy'Nissh. So it makes sense to just go to the person who's dealing with it. So if you're in America, if you're in the UK, if you're in London, or you're in Glasgow, or Stirling, or in Musborough, or if you're in Jamaica, or parts of Africa, Kenya, or if you're in China, wherever you are, and you stumble upon this unique approach to a new Jamaican invention, and you want to be a part of it, there's a link on my YouTube video for my email. Send me your details. Obviously, it would be a business transaction, but it's workable. But what it means is you become a part of something that have a definite origin, because you're working with the person who is in real time developing the concept. But also, it gives me the chance to learn maybe someone from China who is used to working with characters, how they work with characters, even from the right child. Unfortunately, I started doing this from an adult, so I've got a lot more to learn about calligraphy. But what about the French, people who use African language? Chances are some of the words might sound slight Europeans at times, then slight Asian, then slight African as it develops. Who knows? There's a world of exploration, and that's the beauty about it. So, let me put this down. Oh, one more thing. So you've got pie vaccine. Then you've got all Velixi by default comes in black, green, and gold, the Jamaican standard color. I call it original. All of them are original art. That means once a Velixi is created, it's original. It cannot be copied or redoctored or reshaped. It's permanent. However, in Oy'Nissh language, color is essential. And this is millvrant black, a monocolor, millvrant black Oy'Nissh. It could be red, it could be blue. There's an alternative one called Simpelium, which is another arrangement which is multicolor, which is not black, green, and yellow, but something else. That's for another time. So you've got that. There's one more word that I missed out that's essential. If I can find space. Right. Let me see if I can put it here. Hold a second in bracket. Right. Most times when I introduce vlogs, I use the word Vel'Nish. This is it, Vel'Nish. Vel'Nish in English, if I'm to pronounce it that way. But it's pronounced Vel'Nish. There's a character for it, so that's a different story. So this is not English, but it's another story. It's pronounced Vel'Nish with apostrophe, as you've got the apostrophe Nish. Vel'Nish, it means welcome. So if I say the word Vel'Nish, it means welcome. This is beautiful because it means that I'm communicating with you. So I say Vel'Nish and it can reply Vel'Nish. But also, when you are in the future, I'm hoping as I'll articulate more in how to present it in a teachable way as we start to work together, because I haven't started working with you yet, so I don't know where people are, how to work directly with people in certain cases. As we start to develop together, it means that we can now start to speak Oy'Nissh. That would be interesting. So in the comment section in the YouTube channel, we'll be communicating in, even if it's 1 or 2 words in Oy'Nissh. But the important thing is, if you're a Jamaican, for the first time, if there's a Jamaican created word, you know who created it, when it was created, the design pattern for it. And chances are you're bound to use a word or write a word with a particular pronunciation that's used in another language that means something else. It's just how it is. Language sort of crisscross. I'll be saying something or pronouncing something or write something in alphabet form, but it means something else in another language. Please don't feel offended, because it's a big world with so many languages. But in terms of our communication, in the context of Oy'Nissh, that is, I'm hoping that as we start to communicate now in the comment section in the YouTube channel, we can start use Oy'Nissh words in the future. It means that we can say hi. The hi is sort of general, but maybe the English translation for good morning, hello. There's a language said, is it hello or something? I don't know. That's another. I think Spanish is hola, senorita, whatever. Yeah, we start to use peculiar Oy'Nissh word, and I think that's how the language will develop. So please, it will be interesting for you to subscribe so I can keep you up to date with the latest posts. But as I said, it's early days, which is best for you because you're getting involved at its inception. Who to tell if God doesn't come in 10 years or 10, that it develop in such a way that you become the pioneer. So when you subscribe, it's not so much you doing me all the favors, but it means that I get to know you first. Maybe the first, I would say the first, I wouldn't say pioneers. I think the first pioneers would be the ones who subscribe with the intention of doing some form of business, because this is a business. Yeah. 2, you become the first pioneer. So it means that in the future, you will be the ones with the expertise to share with others on YouTube, in your country, with your family and friends, exactly what Oy'Nissh is in terms of the name, the food, and the language, because you were getting it directly from the primary source. I mean, how many times when things are created or invented, people are there getting it at the primary source? It's very rare. Sometimes something is happening and we sort of bypass it. That's the case with YouTube. You remember when YouTube started? Yeah, the early people were there as pioneers. Same with Facebook and all these social media. They were there from its inception. They're the big ones on the channels now. Everybody referred to them. It will be the same with the language. Not so much with the food, except you're in the UK, that I'm catering for, you know, like I do cater for some people. But in terms of the language, which can reach all over the world, because we just need to communicate, it means that we'll be communicating directly. Isn't that interesting? The first black language post-COVIDism. But also, I would say the first constructed Jamaican language that uses a character system. I don't know about the Caribbean. Maybe, do they have other constructed language in the Caribbean that use characters? I don't know. If you're from the Caribbean, do your country in the Caribbean have a constructed language that uses character? It would be interesting to share what it's like, you know, share ideas. It would be interesting. But thanks again for watching, and I hope, I really do hope, that I start to get to interact with some of you, especially at this primary stage of the development, where you can now become pioneers, feeding from the primary source itself. But from a business point of view, you'll benefit greatly, simply because you're dealing with the person who is created in it all, and he owns it all. So it works in your favor. But apart from the business part, it's more about also just enjoying some new invention. And I'm no linguist, actually, so I didn't study linguistics at university. No, study something else altogether. However, Oy'Nissh food is a different story. That's my baby. God have given me a gift with it, and it works. And there's so much more to develop. Sorry, I'm getting excited. I think if you were to open my mind and see the wondrous things, that ideas and blessings there, there's just so much more to share. But this language, this part of the vlog, is just to introduce a little about myself, and just to chat a little bit. But look forward to seeing you in the next vlog, where I'll introduce other aspects of the topic. One more key thing before I finish. Oy'Nissh language is synonymous with health promotion of fruit and veg. So foraging, seasonal fruit and veg, veganism, vegetarianism. I eat a little bit of chicken and fish, but vegan and vegetarianism is big on the agenda. I'm not condemning people with meat and fish and so forth, no. But I'm saying you'll see new words come into play that evolve from menus, evolve from food concept. And from the food concept will be new art that will give them new names, and it will go on and on, world without end, well, till there's no more world. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next vlog.